think pretty like a full day into, the new elections and everything, and everybody's emotions about it and all that. Um, and I said a little bit, but um, I know Kamala touched on it a little bit of, keeping on fighting. And because one of the biggest things I think with her running that's happened a few years in a row, or elections in a row, is I mean, it plays a lot into women's rights and that fight. And that's not the point that I'm trying to make, but that's taken that's taken a long time, and we've come a long way. Obviously, we're not quite where we want to be yet, but we're still it's taken a long time, and we're still fighting with that. To be For women to be observed as like credible or able to speak, or I mean, a whole thing in the Middle East is going on where they're not, their voices are illegal. And in America, our voices are not illegal, but sometimes our votes or opinions may not be, like, it's not the same for a woman to run as a man. And I'm not saying that's like what it is, but that's how it seems. Or um women to be able to choose their own body rights, their own health care. And did you know all the medical science, most of it, studies, polls, or not polls, what are they called? I'm wanting to say surveys, but that's not it. Like study groups where they went in and they studied a certain thing with a bunch of groups of people. All that data, all that information, a lot of it is on the male body, not the female body. The female body has not been studied in depth. So when we're going for medical care or other things like that, a lot of that information is not specifically geared toward a female body type or all the variations of a female body type, the female hormones, or that, because a lot of that came from studying or group studies of male body types. So it's just this thing that, women not being on the same playing field. And that's one thing, that's one aspect. And then there's her touching on, keeping on fighting and other things like that. And I know on my channel, I identify myself as a spiritual person, a faith-based person. And I know with talking about a lot of those things, people could be like, well, what are you really talking about? What does all that mean and things like that? Faith or cultural beliefs are really important to a lot of people. And I don't just mean Christianity. Whatever you have faith in, whatever encourages you, um, whatever you see as a higher power, or things that energies that you may work with, or things like that. if it's benefiting you, and if it's you're not harming yourself or other people, and it's directing you on positive growth and a positive path, and you're healthy and you're balanced, that's great. Um, if it helps you keep a positive mindset, if it helps you to heal, I think that's great. I I do not think that there's more than one God. I think there's other entities. I think there's other energies, like like there's, God, Jesus, Buddha. They're two separate things. Buddha was a real person. Jesus was a real person, but they're two separate things. I think there's only one Jesus, but there's a Buddha too. So whatever you see as a higher power, these other things, I personally, I don't think that there's more than one Jesus, more than one God, but I think that God is not insecure, and that whatever you call the universe, what it like, if whatever you call, and it's not necessarily Christian, but you're open to that being like Jesus, like that's Jesus to you. I don't feel like Jesus is insecure. I feel that, like, at the right moment, at the right time, he's open to, and I think whatever's leading you in a positive way, in a positive aspect, and positive growth, possibly is light or something like that, like Jesus. So, um, and as long as it's healthy and it's helping you, and I think that's great. Um, but I know I've talked some about, manifesting, and I totally get when people say, you know, I mean, I'm a person that thinks that prayer should not be a last resort. Prayer should be our first resort, especially coming from Christianity. Um, but you know, prayer, I get when people say, if you have $5 and someone says, I'm hungry, can you help me? And you say, I'll pray for you. If you're able to give them $5, if you're able to give them a loaf of bread, and not hurting yourself and your family, you know, it takes doing that thing, not just prayer. If you can't, and you can say, God, please put someone in this path, give them favor for someone who is able. Or if you know somebody that you could call and say, hey, I have this person that needs this, and they would probably give it to you. Or you could drive them to a food bank and you have that, and it's not hurting your family, it's not anything like that. Just saying, and you know that, but you say, I'll pray for you. That's what I'm saying. Just, it doesn't do anything. I think prayer and faith do a lot, but in those aspects where you could do and you know it, but you're not, prayer isn't going to do anything, because you're supposed to be the hands, you're supposed to be the feet, and you're opting to not do that. But um so that what I'm wanting to talk about is, we talk about manifestation, we talk about faith and spiritual things, but those are things that are kind of way up in here, and I'm a more practical person. I wanted to talk about, now is the time when people are kind of stressed out, anxious, we're not sure what the future has. There's all these people coming out of the woodwork with fear-based stuff. And I'm telling you, whatever energies you follow, whether it's a Christian, whether it's working with entities or deities or ancestors, or or light or whatever. Fostering fear is not going to help the situation. And it's not that I'm saying if these things do happen to come true, it's just like people saying the stuff about the end of the world. I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm saying that should these things happen, being fearful and is not going to help that process. And because I know Christianity operates on there'll be a certain time when Jesus comes back and we get to go home. And trust me, as a Christian, obviously we want to be with God. I do want to do that. I do want to be with him, but I don't want that at the expense of destruction and so many people's pain. I would not want humanity to go through that. So we shouldn't run to that. That's a big issue with people being hurt by Christianity is why can't we go to heaven too? We should all be able to go to heaven. Because of course everyone wants to. We should all be able to go. But the thing is, God's the judge. It's a personal relationship with each person. He's the one that gets to decide that. So, but we shouldn't run to that. With an uncertain future, we need to be consistently doing the things we normally do. And with these manifesting things, it's not about, we don't want to be doing like prayer in a useless way or manifesting in a useless way. It's like people are like that mumbo jumbo doesn't work because it's useless. You're manifesting but it's not doing anything. The point is we cannot control other people, and we shouldn't be trying. Control is in the wrong direction. But what we can control, we can be the best versions of ourselves. And when we start working on that, we give other people permission to shine and to heal and to speak their truth or speak their peace, get things off their chest to heal more, to feel safe enough to heal or be themselves, to self-care and love on themselves. I'm sorry, I've been dealing with a cold, so that's why I'm raspy. I've had a lot of sinus issues lately, but yes, like dealing with not just I'm trying to get back on my thought process. Not just doing things that aren't going to do anything, and that's how the manifesting works. Is we're loving on ourselves, self-care. We're investing in ourselves. We're positive mindsets. We're lifting ourselves up. We're making healthy choices. We're making positive choices. We're getting things done, achieving things, because we're staying in that mindset. And then when something does happen and we are depressed, maybe we can get up faster. We can use stress relieving techniques, because stress can be a major thing. And learning coping techniques, stress is usually a lot of the triggering for a lot of addictions. What was the trigger? What was the trigger of that stressor that caused them to relapse, that caused them to binge? it's usually what it is. So, learning uh, stress coping techniques can help either not do that relapse, or if they do the relapse, getting up from that and getting back on the horse and continuing on a positive path and continuing to heal versus beating themselves up and continuing on a negative path and less healing. And yes, so working on ourselves, but as we work on ourselves, now is the time to shine. Real ways we can manifest this and do is compliment 5 people, smile at 5 people. If you're comfortable and you know them well enough, not like strangers or anything, hug 5 people. Shine right where we are at. Maybe you can tell somebody about affirmations. Maybe you read a nice devotional, and maybe you could share that with somebody someday. Maybe put it on your Facebook page. Maybe put it on Twitter. That way, people see one happy thing, one encouraging or wise thing every day. Not everyone wants to learn something new every day, but if you're doing it every day and you're putting a proverb or a good saying, and again, it doesn't have to be a religious thing, it could just be something happy or a good thought, and people are seeing that too every day, they might start learning other things. Those are small, real ways, and it builds and builds and builds over time. And those are real ways that we can be shining. Just right where we are, continuing to fight. But people need this light right now. And people need this encouragement right now because they are stressed out. They are anxious. People are uncertain about the future. So, all of us light workers, all of us shining, now's the time to shine where you are. Because people really need it, and it's not some aloof, like crazy thing. This is the real manifestation of it. Real ways, small ways to find physical ways that you can do to shine, to encourage people, to brace people up, to help people de-stress. And I'm not saying any of us are doctors or professionals to do that, but there's nothing wrong with self-love, especially if it helps you be healthy and balanced and positive, and trying to help somebody not be as stressed or things like that. And it's not like you're not administering like a medication or something to them. You're just telling them a happy thought. It's not like it's a prescription or something. So I don't think there's anything against like telling them a happy thought just because we're not professionals. But and sometimes we can't listen to everybody, and that's totally okay. Maybe that's not the way you're able to help, because there are professionals. There are professionals that can do that and help them in the way that those people need. But you can find ways other than that that don't include a professional to be physically be the light. And this is us again, not just saying prayer or manifesting and what we're talking about doesn't do anything. These are real ways that, you know, starting groups where you talk about your stresses, or how did you de-stress, what were your coping techniques that you learned. What I what like I feel like I have anxiety and I'm not being treated for it, but whenever I was overwhelmed with stress, and I get overwhelmed really easily, I get too much on my plate, and I would feel like I was having a panic attack. And the symptoms were there too, of just it seemed so big. And one of the biggest uh, coping techniques that I found was through the VA, because the VA gave me a tablet um, for my appointments, because it was in the middle of COVID. And they had a function on there to do different mindfulness. There's all kinds of different short ones or long ones of mindfulness practices. And on my channel, I have a lot of different things about me making tea, about my coffee tea setup, and that's one of the biggest reasons why it's my main thing, is because one of my favorite mindfulness ones on there is making a cup of coffee or tea. And it's a pretty short one, and you make your coffee, you watch the milk swirl in it, you watch the steam swirl, or any hot drink, but you just senses, being present, enjoying it, not thinking anything else, just enjoying it. That was one of my favorite ones. You can do it with washing dishes also, with hot steamy water and the bubbles. You can do it with that also. But lots of different ones. Mindfulness was a really useful grounding, uh, de-stressing technique for me. Also, thankfulness, focusing on what I did accomplish that day, focusing on what I did have and being thankful for that. Those, in times where I was still building and it was really hard for me to see progress, because um, the building was so slight at the time, and I wasn't seeing very many results right then as I was building. um, those helped me a lot. Um, and I didn't have too awfully much then, but I had a roof over my head, I had food, I had a bathtub. Like, the bathtub's a big one for me too, because like, bubble bath and spa stuff is a huge thing for me. Self care, um, a big thing for me. Stress relief and just relaxation and comfort and things like that. And but those are some. Maybe you start a group where you talk about that, or maybe you tell your friend about mindfulness, about stress coping techniques, or maybe, you know, you make a coffee date with a friend, or, there's physical ways that we can be the light, or and we're not just talking about. I know manifesting in these other spiritual terms seems so, and and people are like, it's not doing anything. There's real ways we can do stuff, and this is the time that it's really needed, as workers of light or faith, or or positive energy. Like, we're really needed right now, because people are stressed out. People are getting desperate and stressed out, with frustrated with the poverty level and stuff like that. um and um uncertain about the future. But these other aspects of just fear-based stuff, even in the event that does happen, it's not going to help us to be fearful, because you're not going to be able, if that did happen, you're not going to be able to think clearly being super afraid. So, yes, it's possible, but right now I'm going to focus on healing myself, because I can control the stuff about myself. I don't want to control other people, and I'm not trying to control other people, but I can be the best that I can be, and I can be the best light that I can be. And I can tell people, I hope they have a great day. I hope they're well. I hope they are learning things every day. I hope they're growing every day. And I can continue making sure I have a balanced, healthy mind, so that I'm the well, and I'm continuing to take care of the well, so that I can keep giving and pouring into other people. And that's what I'm going to focus on. And should this stuff happen, I'll worry about it then. I mean, I am planning for should should some things happen, I have a emergency pantry of meals and things that either don't have to be heated, or that it doesn't take long for them to be heated. I have stocked food for a few weeks, probably like at least about a month. Um, Shelf stable milks or drinks or other stuff like that. And I'm not saying that I'm completely prepared, but in the event that some emergency happens, and we're not talking about, you know, the theoretical stuff, we're talking about like inclement weather, or, people rioting or something like that, and you can't get through the streets or whatever, you can't drive. Um, I have a heating source, because I have a toddler that I'm responsible for, and if our power did go out and we didn't, because our heating is electric, I have a heating source in the event of that, and I could also cook with that. Not very many things, but I could cook with that. Um, and I have fuel for that also. um, so I have a few of these things in place, that a little bit at a time, that make my life a lot easier, and I'm planning for if if something drastic happens. Um, a lot of kits say to get um, generators. Generators are a little bit expensive, but once you have them, they're really good to have. Um, uh, um, Usually families should have those, but be aware with generators. Carbon monoxide poisoning. If you have a generator and you start it in a shed or a garage, you have to open the door. Okay? You can't, like, if it's in a building, do not go in there and open the door and go in that thing. You either have to keep the door open, or garage doors, you have to make sure the door is open. It has to be well ventilated. Carbon monoxide is very deadly. You can't really smell it or anything like that. Just be aware of that with generators, or heating, or also heating options sometimes too. Ventilation, carbon monoxide poisoning is very deadly. It's very dangerous. Um, but yes, candles, flashlights, batteries, you know, basic things you would think to have. Planning for in case something like that happens, because regardless of what's going on outside, I have to care for a small child, and he is my responsibility. And should something drastic happen, I want to have things that I'm able to do that. And it's not like I probably am as uncertain about the future as everyone else, but um, my more concern is I have someone else to care for, and he's my responsibility, and I need to be able to provide that in the event that um, things happen. So, um, but but I do also have a lot of faith. I have a lot of faith in good people and the powers that be, and I think there's a lot of good things. Yes, I think Jesus is good, but I think there are other good things, not just Jesus, but um, I think I think there is other good things, also, that help us, that guide us, that help us to grow, help us to learn. So that's what I wanted to say. Um, when we're fighting right where we're at, those are tangible, real ways. And I'm not saying that manifesting or other things is silly or dumb. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I know a lot of times people hear those things and they say, well, it's not really doing anything. You're not manifesting anything. But if you're creating a positive mindset in yourself, or when you are grieving or when you are depressed and you're able to get back up from that faster, or do it, grieve faster, heal faster, that is manifesting it, because it's helping you move forward, it's helping you be balanced, it's helping you to be strong, it's helping you to learn, it's helping you to function. And faith and cultural beliefs obviously mean a lot to a lot of different people. Um, it's a major thing, and it's not something to make light of. It's not something to say is silly or anything like that. Um, but these are very tangible, real ways. And if you're in that situation where, if you just don't want to help the person, I'm sure there's situations where that's valid, or that person is untrustworthy and you don't trust them and you set that boundary. I totally understand that. But if it's something you totally have, and you're cleared to be able to do that, but you're saying I'll pray for you, like that isn't doing anything. That isn't doing anything. Like, God's gonna go to the next person that is willing and will do that thing, and they will get the blessing because they obeyed and because they gave. That's what's gonna happen. So but yeah, in that sense, like, it's not doing anything. But um it's the encouragement and the light is really needed right now. And I with Kamala saying about the light and things like that, um I also think, I can't say for her, I can't put words in her mouth, but that resonated with me. The light and encouragement is really needed, right? Maybe even healing. Healing might be really big right now. Um, so I just wanted to put that out there. Real, tangible ways to small ways. They don't have to be super huge, but like, they seem small, but they build over time. Whoops, they build over time, and we can make a difference to other people and things like that. Um, in real ways versus it just being us just saying something, or something not small, but just like not real or something like that. Um, or not having any impact. Um, yes. So to all the people out there working and doing that, and trying to support people and trying to encourage people, we have a lot right now. We have a lot to do. We also have to feed into ourselves and love ourselves so that we don't get overwhelmed. And I'm working with you guys. I see you guys. You guys are so important. And I really appreciate all of you. And it doesn't matter what religion or belief system you come from, as long as you're not harming people. I can't energetically work with people that harm people because I have pagan friends. I've had a friend before that was like a Leviathan Satanist. Fine friends, like, we got along just fine. And I've had other Wiccans, family members or friends, um, and there's tons of people in those groups that are managing to live peaceably, being active members of their communities, and not harming people. So I can't condone or work with energies that insist on doing that, because there's tons of people that are living lives not doing that just fine. So there's no reason why you guys just can't do that. You're just opting not to. Um, so yes, as long as you're not harming people, I'm open. I'm open to encouraging or protecting you with light, or connecting to you to, or helping, being all on the same page. And I appreciate all of you, and um I hope that you are well. I hope that you feel strengthened. I know this is a rough time for a lot of people, but I don't think it has to be that bad things are ahead. I mean, life happens, unexpected things happen, but I don't think that it has to be like bad things. And I think it has a lot to do with what we decide, or how we decide to react to things. So be loving each other, be be understanding of each other, give grace to each other, because it is a hard time. Because people are frustrated, and people are trying to heal, so maybe they're a little bit more abrasive. So let's give people space, and let's give them grace to do that. Especially if we know that's going on. Um yeah, so let's just make ourselves into the best people that we can be.